fellas, you guys mentioned something just a little bit ago that I thought was really interesting. You talked about gimmicks. I want to go ahead and discuss Apollo Crews really quickly. That was something that I'd given you the heads up that I wanted to discuss, because first of all, how fascinating it is, the fact that you guys are the number one wrestling podcast in Nigeria, Wakanda forever.
Yes.
That's you can't make that stuff up. It's awesome. But I want to ask you guys something, because I clearly called it wrong. Ross is also going to take this other moment to say, I told you, Jorge.
Really? Why? Of all things, outside my house at this time of night. What the fuck?
It's all good, brother. I hope all is well.
You know, somebody heard us talking about Apollo Crews and his awful gimmick and that awful Nigerian drum fight, and just had to honk their horn at you.
Really, oh my God! Please don't remind me of that drum fight.
Okay.
Please don't remind me of that match.
And by the way, no drums were used. The only drum that tipped over was off of the table. It was a kendo stick. There was a cymbal used. It lasted 6 minutes. Dabba-Kato came in, chokeslammed him, and won the match, even though I called it. And if you're going to have somebody have a new gimmick and give them all the spruce, you might as well push them. However crap the gimmick is, which it is, it's crap. But if you're going to do something at this level, so basically, I'm just going to piggyback off of Jorge here before the blaring horns came, which is hilarious. I'm leaving it in the show. So I guess what I'll piggyback off of, and I don't mean to take your momentum here, Jorge, is okay. You give the guy a new gimmick. You put all the pomp and circumstance on him. You have a match against Big E. He loses, only for him to win a 6-minute Nigerian drum fight at WrestleMania, because we have to have title changes at WrestleMania. If you're going to push a character, am I on an island here saying, okay, if you're going to try something new, you might as well try it, give it a little bit of running room, see if there's anything to this, and then go with it. And I realize that this is a mid-card thing, and the mid-card belts don't really mean anything. But am I crazy?
But they should mean something.
I agree they should. But right now, tag teams don't matter in WWE. The mid-cards don't mean anything other than the tippy-top echelon of really both divisions. Pretty much everybody else is kind of in the shuffle. So I guess the real question is, you've got Apollo Crews. You're trying this new, very different gimmick than anything we've seen from Apollo Crews, with kind of his bland character before then, other than just being Apollo Crews. What are your guys like? Is there a future with this gimmick? Is this something they're going to try for a month and realize it's a mistake? Is there legs to this? Give me your brief thoughts on the Apollo Crews gimmick, whatever he's doing right now.
Not to offend our Nigerian constituents, but I am personally not a fan of the gimmick. He may be Nigerian, that may be legitimately his background. He wants to bring his heritage into his character, but not like this.
But actually, Darth, can I ask you a quick question though? Are you not a fan of the gimmick, or are you not a fan of the fact that he decided to use the accent? Because I'm okay on the gimmick. It's the accent that got me like, bro, we know you don't have an African accent.
It's the accent. It gives it a level of where it doesn't feel genuine, because if you spoke without an accent for all of your career, why did you just randomly pick it up? Like, okay, you may talk that way around your family, but in the general public, you don't speak that way. So it doesn't feel genuine for him to just suddenly use it out of nowhere. Dare I say it brings up the Jamaican Kofi era.
See, but that's different though, because at least with Kofi, he was pretending to have an accent, and then he started talking like he normally does, whereas Apollo was talking like he always has, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're going to give you this accent, but we're going to pretend that people are dumb enough to think that you always had it. It's like, yo, we're not dumb. I mean, that's what's so frustrating about that. And it takes to me, a relatively okay beginning of a gimmick to start with. And I think that it has potential, because the whole, I say Wakanda forever, I was joking, but they kind of do have this like African royalty thing going on with this gimmick, which I'm cool with for the most part. I think that I think it's perfectly fine, especially if Apollo okayed it. Just the adding of the gimmick, the adding of the accent, it's just like, at that point, that's when I start to feel like it's almost making fun of the culture. And okay, I guess the response would sometimes be, oh, well, you know, if Apollo's okay with it, then it's fine. But at the same time, Apollo to me should know better. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
I would.
Also,
I would-
let me
I would
bring
agree.
up the Russian Lana.
Oh God.
Bring it up, bro. Go ahead.
Why is Lana no longer Russian? It just one day when she came back from Rusev being injured, she was no longer Russian for no reason at all.
I think it was the fact that she hooked up with Dolph Ziggler, and I don't even know if I want to finish that.
Oh, was it from that feud that she was no longer Russian?
She lost it with Dolph Ziggler.
She started to go ahead and lose the Russian accent, started to go ahead and speak like she normally does, like went from Lana to CJ Perry playing Lana, and it was just like,
yeah,
what are you doing? You know what it was? It was probably the fact that she was in Pitch Perfect. Go ahead.
This is my take on the Apollo Crews in the Nigerian drum fight. It's funny for the simple fact that it's part of his heritage. I don't think it's making fun of when they talk, but it's funny how he became Nigerian right after the success of a Coming to America 2. Because it literally happened within 2.5 weeks of Come to America 2 came out. And if you watch it, they are in Africa, partly Nigeria, and that's the way they talk. I feel like the shareholders said, if he's Nigerian, we want him to do like Coming to America, because that's the movie that's on Amazon that's kind of taking over right now. And I guess they told him to do it just because of that movie. Because the first night he showed up in the green and white, I was like, okay, cool. You know, that's their colors. It makes sense. It's part of his heritage, his family. But when he came out with the two guys in the army suits, I said, this reminds me of Coming to America 2. And I just watched this. I said, that's kind of ironic that just out of the blue became a thing with him. The accent is like Coffee and Lana, and he does talk around it with his family and like close family and people that talk like that. But to see him use it so much now is funny to me. I don't think this gimmick is going to run very long, and if it does, his speaking role is going to stop as much. Just like how Umaga never spoke, and then at the end of his run, when they started losing faith in him, he started talking on his own. It made no sense whatsoever. It's just a weird backward thing with WWE. Like, if you're going to play the role, they want you to play the role to the T. So if you're going to be Russian, you got a Russian accent until they feel like, okay, you're still Russian, but you've been in 2 movies. You don't have the accent in the movie, so just lose the accent and just wrestle it yourself. Because don't forget, remember when the Usos came and Tamina came, they talk more Samoan-like than they talk now. They didn't talk all the hood and all the ghetto and rap and all that stuff. They basically came in talking all heritage, and they hardly talk. And then once they gave them a mic, they just all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. They just lost it, and they never went back since.
That's true.
So, by the way, if your theory is right about the tie into something culturally relevant or culturally active, like the Coming to America 2 thing and incorporating that, I almost prefer that other than, like, remember when TNA did Aces and Eights and it was based on Sons of Anarchy, but that show had been out of relevance for like 2 years? Like,
yes.
What are you doing? Like, yes, we understand that this is what it looks like, but it's not like this was peak Sons of Anarchy. And by the way, I also want to add in another thing. Remember when Booker T won King of the Ring and became King Booker?
Oh my God!
And then of course, he kind of got an accent a little bit. But then he went to TNA and joined that super group of old guys with Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash and all those guys.
Main Event Mafia.
Yes, the Main Event Mafia. And guess what? He was basically playing the King Booker character without the crown, without the scepter, and with the horrifying accent of his Legends title, that bright red belt. We make fun of the bright belts that WWE has now. Do you remember the Legends title or the Global title or the TV title or the other 17 names that was a bright red belt? It was like, oh, this person won something at Christmas time and it's in June. I just only point that out because
hey. But without the Legends belt, AJ Styles is not a 3-time Grand Slam champion.
Basically,
that is incredible.
And let's not talk about color belts, because don't forget Braun Strowman still holds that damn ugly ass green WWE title.
I just saw something today. It's funny. Oh my God, it's hilarious that you bring that up. I literally just saw the fact that he's been the greatest Royal Rumble winner champion for the last 1,058 days or something ignorant like that. Oh my God.
Basically.
You and I clearly saw the same post. That's amazing.
And WWE would never acknowledge the fact that he is running that long. They would just acknowledge the fact that he was part of the Wyatt family. He was a tag team champion, Universal champion, and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle winner. That whole India thing is just like, what are you talking about? What India thing? That never happened.
Right. So look, we have the guys from Ultra Heelz Wrestling. We've got Darth Messiah and Alex the Heel. Ultra Heelz Wrestling with a Z. Check them out on Instagram. They're joining us here on the Double Turn podcast. I know you guys are all about heels, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay, I want to know. Now, this can be AEW or WWE, okay? So actually, it can be anywhere because I know a lot of us watch a lot of different wrestling. So I just want to get a little quick take here on faces and heels. I want to know undervalued face, undervalued heel, and then once I get those answers, I want to know overvalued face and overvalued heel. So one of you start with undervalued babyface and undervalued heel in wrestling right now.
For me, undervalued heel, Ricky Starks.
Yes.
Ricky Starks, because, going back to when we were talking about NWA Power, when he was on NWA Power, that man talked circles around everybody. He out-wrestled everybody that he was in the ring with. And I guess because he's been on such a small platform, he hasn't had the opportunity to really show what it is. And even now that he's in AEW, everybody's in a faction. He's behind Taz. He's not getting to talk as much as he could and show what he can do on the mic. I believe like 90% of his matches on AEW Dark. So you don't see him on TV every week to show what he can do in the ring. So he is definitely an undervalued heel, in my opinion.
Okay, and then go ahead and give your undervalued babyface as well.
For me, I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa.
I love it. Alex, what you got?
Undervalued heel. I'm going to go with this, and it's funny to me, but Britt Baker.
Interesting. Okay.
Britt Baker is an undervalued heel because I'm not going to lie. AEW as a heel, she is what WWE needs as a heel for the females without having to be Charlotte Flair.
Okay.
Like wrestling styles, we already seen she can go hardcore. We always seen that she can get on a mic and cut a decently funny promo, a heel promo, any kind of promo, and she can make it interesting. She's like an early Paul Heyman. When she talks, you want to listen because you want to know what she's going and what direction she's going in. So to me, she's an undervalued heel on TV because when she come on TV, people just talk, oh, well, it's Britt Baker. She's not much. But if you see her in the ring, you understand that her wrestling status is up there, and especially see how she is, the woman to Adam Cole. So she has a lot to take from wrestling because she's learning a lot from in ring, and also her man has been doing it for years. And undervalued face is Tommaso Ciampa. I'm going with that one also. He's an undervalued face. Like even though me and that man the same age, and I don't know why he look like he's 40 years older than me, it still fucking bothers the hell out of me to this day. I feel bad for that. Because me, him, Roman, Seth, and Dean are all in the same age range, and four of us look like we could be playing 20-year-olds. Tommaso Ciampa like he could be my father's father.
He's got that grizzled old man get off my lawn look, doesn't he?
What? Dad, you better not ring my doorbell for Halloween for trick-or-treat candy because I don't have any. Like it's just something about him that I don't understand. Like he's such a great face.
What's that? What's that? Kevin Hart does the look over the wall. He's like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? That's that look right there.
Gentlemen, breaking news. Again, I have Raw on in the background. Drew McIntyre has unmasked Dio Madden. He's no longer has a mask on.
Thank God.
What? About fucking time. Now unmask everybody else. Please unmask everybody else.
Oh, and now Dijakovic mask is off as well.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Well, there goes Retribution. They're dead. This is the nail in the coffin.
Since they weren't DOA already, right?
Yeah, they were like on life support. You know what I'm saying? Like they were they were in a coma, and
Okay.
they finally pulled the plug.
Who killed all the Retribution guys on Underground? Was that Braun that did that?
Braun
I believe it was.
destroyed Braun. Yeah, Braun destroyed.
No, I thought it was
Braun
Lashley.
Okay.
No. Braun destroyed them that one week he showed up, and then
Yes.
Lashley destroyed everybody that got in the goddamn ring. He didn't care who it was.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, what'd you call it? The first one to destroy all of them.
That gimmick was DOA as soon. Now, I love me some Braun Strowman. I hate the Strowman Express, but I love me some Braun Strowman. The running gag on this show is that I constantly say, push Braun Strowman immediately, and then they push him, and it's lackluster, and I understand that, and he had a swamp fight with Bray Wyatt, and I get it, but Braun Strowman he's amazing. I could go on and on about Braun Strowman. Now, we said undervalued face and heel, and I know, again, you guys are all about heels, and I love it. I want to know your overvalued baby face and heel. Not overrated. I'm saying guys and gals that are maybe overvalued within the companies they have, baby faces and heel. Go ahead and give your thoughts on that.
Okay, overvalued heel. Shane McMahon. Please keep Shane McMahon off of my TV.
Yes.
Why did we have the Strowman feud? The ending to the Miz feud was awful. I'm so sick of Shane McMahon on my screen. Old man Shane has to be a babyface. He can't be a heel. When he was in his early 30s, the money shuffle, all of that, antagonizing Big Show and Steve Blackman and all of that, fine, he can be a heel. But 50-year-old Shane has to be a babyface. He needs to be happy. He needs to, make the crowd pop, or the Thunderdome make them pop. Old man Shane can't be a heel. It's awful.
And your overvalued face?
Okay, the thing about the face, I went into the recesses of my mind, and in WWE there is no overvalued babyface because WWE doesn't know how to use babyfaces properly, other than Drew McIntyre.
Basically.
So I went to AEW, and the person I came up with was Cody Rhodes.
Huh.
Not because of what he does in the ring, because of what he does as an executive for himself. Cody Rhodes is, I'd say he's actually very arrogant, to the point where, why does Cody Rhodes have his own entranceway? Nobody else comes out that way that he does. Cody Rhodes has the most absurd promo segments. He was in a segment where Sting debuted, and they've never spoken to each other on screen again. What was the reason for Cody Rhodes being in that segment? The baby reveal. Why did they have a specific TV segment for the baby gender reveal? That's just Cody and Brandi being arrogant. So it's not sharing it with the crowd. It's just them being arrogant.
So, by the way, actually, they did say that there was a purpose to that specific segment. I only jump because I'm not defending it. I'm simply saying that supposedly they are in talks with TNT to do a reality show.
I thought they did. That
correct.
reality show got greenlit.
They have announced the show.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So in a way, if they're trying to capitalize off of the reality show and doing these different things, look, I'm not saying they should have done a TV segment. What I'm saying is, if that's where they're branching off to, and that's going to be something that they launch into outside of the business to kind of give them an extra arm, I get it from a television and from a revenue standpoint of they think they're actually going to draw people to watch it. But you're right. Using it as a TV segment is total and utter nonsense.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, who you got?
I just think Cody Rhodes is just extremely arrogant, making himself bigger than everybody else is.
Okay.
Just because he is an executive vice president.
Let me tell you something before we hop over to Alex. Thank you for saying that, Darth Messiah, because that's for all the haters that have taken a crap on Triple H for the last 7 years. Suck it. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, now with me, it's going to be weird because I pay attention to a lot of wrestling. And I look at a lot of people, and I look at when they go from Indies to NXT to AEW or the main roster of the league. Over face. My God, what is their names again? Darby, we were just talking about this earlier. On SmackDown.
Overvalued faces on SmackDown?
It's a tag team. We were just talking about this.
Oh, New Day.
No, not New Day.
Not I want to say Private Party, not Private Party. Street Profits.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
To me, they're overshot as faces because since they've been on the scene, they have literally been just faces. And I get it. These dudes are party guys. That's cool. But if you've been to a party, you've been around guys that drink and they party too much, you normally see them become arrogant. You see them become dicks. You see them become fighters, not happy all the time. And I feel like them being baby faces is just not what I want to see. We already have enough babyface groups and tag teams already on Raw and SmackDown to the point that it's just ridiculous. I feel like if the New Day could start off heel and go to babyfaces, they started babyface, they should have came up there as heels. They should have came up there and not want to be known as the second coming of the New Day, the second coming of any other group. They should have came up there being a different group, and they should have been literally face. They should have been heels to me. And I feel like they're overly pushing faces to the point that I like seeing them in matches, but I hate seeing them in the back promos. I hate seeing them in the ring talking. I hate seeing them come through the crowd. That shit just hurts my damn nerve. It's bothers.
Yeah, I hear you on that, Alex. And I just want
over Heelz.
Yeah,
over Heelz is going to be weird for me because it's going to take a weird take because I don't know their face now heel, but the whole entire inner circle.
Say that one more time, Alex.
I said the inner circle is overly rated heels.
Okay.
Because I'm tired of seeing them every week on TV. I understand that they're grooving. I understand that they have a purpose, but you're taking time from other people that can be on television, that can wrestle. I don't want to see you every damn week. That's like me seeing the Authority every week. I don't want to see you every week. There's some weeks that you can just take off. There's some weeks you can just let other groups thrive. There's some other weeks you can just let other people show up. But you being on Dynamite every week is it's an asshole thing.
The inner circle has become go away heat like the Authority for Alex the Heel. That's an interesting take that I do not hear a lot of people mention. So other than them being all over every show, was there an instance where they, to use a totally maybe old TV show reference, when was the moment that the inner circle like jumped the shark for you?
The Stampede match.
Really? The Stampede match was just a bridge too far for you?
Yeah, because like I said, I like this stuff. I love Jericho. I love seeing Taggart. I love seeing the so-called LAX. I love seeing all of them. But it comes to a time where you don't need to be on TV every week. We know who you are. We know your stature. We know what you're capable of. There's some weeks you can just not be in a show. There's some weeks you don't have to be in a segment. You don't have to be in the back doing a promo. It's just some weeks you can just take off. But seeing Sammy Guevara out there with you all the time, seeing Chris Jericho grab the mic and do these long monologues, I get it. Chris Jericho is great on the mic. I'm never going to say he's not great on the mic. The man can cut gold out of dirt. He can just do anything. It's just the fact that I want to see other talent on TV do other stuff too. And you being on TV and taking up the time that you take is cutting out from other talent and they have to go to dark. And it's just, it bothers me. I always want to see new talent. I want to look up new guys and see new wrestlers. I want to see new faces. I want to know new names. I want to look people up and see who these guys are. But when you're on TV and you're taking that much time, you're just literally doing what WWE does. You're just taking away from other people that want to be seen on TV and wrestle. Like this, it's weird. That's why I kind of like Dark. Because Dark gives you a chance to see people that you probably want to see on Dynamite, but it gives you a chance to know what they're capable of and what they can do and be like, you know what? He deserved to be on Dynamite. He deserved to be on the main roster show doing a match, but not on Dark where it's like fucking 18 hours long on YouTube that it's just constantly going. I don't want to see that. And after that Stampede, like when that Stampede match got like introduced, they was on TV every week until it happened. And I was like, you don't need to keep reminding people of what you're going to do, what's going to happen. You already established the match. You already been there. But to see you 2 times in one night is just too much for me at this point. You're basically just eating up time and money, like for me, just seeing you on TV. Now,
Right.
now the way they're being booked now against MJF group, and they're showing up here and there, is great. It's gold. It's like the best thing ever because you finally get to see them one night a week. You get to see them have an interaction, and then they leave. You don't see them no more. It gives other time for people to have matches. So it's like, I don't know. That Stampede match just kind of just broke them over me in a circle, and it made me just like, okay, cool. I just want to see them like once a week, once every 2 weeks. I don't need to see you every week talking or doing a promo in the back or telling MJF how you want to see him or the debate or the musical, even though I love the musical. The musical was funny as hell. I don't really care about seeing you. Like even with Omega and the Young Bucks, you hardly see them on TV as much as you did when they first started. You see less of them. And it makes you want to see them more when they show up. It's like the thing with WWE did with Brock. Instead of having Brock there every day like you used to, you had him there as an attraction. You only had him show up when you needed him, not have him show up every night to the point that you go, all right, cool. Come try seeing this guy now. I don't want to see him no more. It defeats the purpose. And that's when the Inner Circle just kind of just got to me as being like overly used as heels on TV.
Okay. Less is more. And you know what?
Basically.
No, and at some level, I agree with you because at some point, if you see the same people every week in the same, which by the way, Chris Jericho, every segment he was on for a long time, he was winning every segment he was on for a long time, and so I get that. Okay, you bring up an interesting point about them being at the authority level, Jorge. I know that there was something other than the Apollo Crews stuff that you definitely wanted to ask. I want to make sure that you jump in here as well. Again, we just talked about undervalued and overvalued baby faces and heels. I hate using the overrated term because that's so subjective. So that's why I used undervalued. But go ahead, Jorge.
Sure, no problem, man. It's all good. And I'm going to stay on this AEW train because I like where it's going, and because it's not bashing it. We're actually talking a lot of positivity, but we're also talking negative aspects from both companies. And it's funny. First of all, does everyone remember when Britt Baker first turned heel and she started doing the promos with Tony Schiavone? It was
awful. It was awful.
She is seriously one of the highlights of AEW Dynamite. It is such a nice transformation that we've been able to see from her over the last year. Like that speaks volumes in regards to the hard work that she put in, and I have to commend her. We talked about the overvalued faces. I want to give you an overvalued face that I'm kind of surprised none of the people on this panel mentioned. I got to say this. I feel Mox is an overvalued face right now. I feel, in the same vein that that you just talked about so eloquently, Alex, in regards to the Inner Circle being on our TV set every single week, I feel like Mox is starting to revert back into that old version of Dean Ambrose that kind of got crap from WWE Creative for a little bit. I feel like we're kind of teetering on that. I haven't felt the dynamicness of Jon Moxley for a long time, and I feel like he's starting to get a little bit comfortable. And then overvalued heels, I want to be very careful because it's going to make it seem like I hate them when I don't. I just think that they're a little overvalued, but it is absolutely the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are the most overvalued heels in wrestling right now by a long shot. I want to ask the two of you this, and Ross, I'll let you jump in on this too. We just saw, and you actually put up the numbers, Messiah and Alex. So I want to ask you about this. So AEW Dynamite just hit 1 million plus viewers last Wednesday for the first time in like a year, right?
Since the first 3 weeks they won Dynamite.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question. NXT's on Tuesdays now. Can they keep up that momentum? Can they average that? Is there any possible way?
I don't think so. I think it's just the reactionary, week or 2 or 3, because again, going back to the debut, they did 1.4 million. The next week was 1.2 million, 1.1 million. And then over the length of 2020, they just averaged 825,000. So if you take the added audience, they'll gain another 100,000. They'll average 950 for the rest of this year. I don't think they're going to stay over 1 million for the rest of the year. if also when one of the things I've been meaning to do is really analyze the wrestling ratings. What a good episode of Raw does what? 2.2, 2.4?
Prior to COVID or current COVID?
Currently.
Probably if they average 2 million, that's a good episode for them.
Okay, so the top rated wrestling program does 2 million people. If you take NXT and AEW during the war, together they averaged 1.7 million. The people that are watching wrestling live, there's not a lot of them. So you're asking AEW to now be a bad episode of Raw consistently. I think that's a lot for them.
Yeah. How about you, Alex? Where are you thinking at? Do you think they can go ahead and sustain that momentum?
No, unless they start getting audiences back again, like they did WrestleMania. No,
yeah,
I don't think they ever will. Like, even though they have a little audience there, NXT thrive off of their match. They thrive off of the people that they hired and the people they have, and they know what they're capable of. It's great to watch them wrestle, but to keep up that kind of momentum, no, it will probably never happen. The only way that would probably go happen is we go back to live shows and they start doing pay-per-views in like places again, like the Staples Center when I went last time. That was an experience that you have to like be there for, because if AEW would have came out at a time NXT was doing live shows, I don't think AEW would have had the same exact numbers, because the viewership of WWE NXT was just immaculate. But now if you got it on TV and it's like you got to catch it on an app, or you got to pay for it, or you got to catch it on certain things, it's kind of hard to want to keep up with it because too many people are busy doing other things. AEW on television, you can just scan by channels and just come across AEW and sit down and watch it.
Right.
NXT is just like one of the things you'd be like, I'm going to watch it tonight if I remember, but you know you want to keep up with it, but it's kind of just like one of them TV shows you just start watching, and then after a while you be like, I can just go online on YouTube and just see the highlights and see what happened. I can go on Facebook and somebody have the whole thing up there. But AEW is one of them shows like, you know somebody's going to botch. You know somebody's going to fuck up. You know somebody's going to say something with their lines. You don't know what's going to happen.
You're going to see Eva Elise just sit there and just take a full Nelson and just like fix her hair and then get released a week later. Yeah, I hear you on that.
Yeah, like it's weird. Like me and Darth has done this. Every time there's a pay-per-view, we always try to call how the matches are going to go and who's going to win. For the last 2 years, me and Darth has only been wrong on each pay-per-view probably 2 to 3 times. We have called every match down because it's so predictable in WWE, so you just knows what's going to happen. But AEW, watching their little pay-per-views, it's kind of hard to predict. You just got to watch it and hope that you see something different. And it makes you want to watch it because you don't know where they're going with what. But with like WWE, it's like to the point that if you know somebody's on top and you know somebody is either being pushed by WWE, you know who's going to win. There's no need to even watch pay-per-view. To be honest, WrestleMania, the whole entire pay-per-view, live, I watched 6 matches on both nights. And out of them 6 matches, I kind of told Darth the answer to most of them, like what I called, and I wasn't wrong on any one of the matches, and I didn't watch half the pay-per-view. That tells you a lot. Like, there's no way they can keep with that momentum because they're so predictable at this point. So I don't think NXT will be able to ever get back up there to that 1.2. Even though in the New Day they're showing them now, it's not never going to happen right now. It's going to be a while, but it's not in their future right now. They're going to constantly keep getting like the low 100,000. That's as far as they're going to go.
Right. Which, to be honest with you, I mean, there's really nothing wrong with like 900,000 viewers, 850,000 viewers. Like, that's a lot of people watching you. It's just when you got the others, people start to compare the numbers and stuff like that. Sometimes I just wish we would stop comparing the numbers and just appreciate the fact that we've got great wrestling on Tuesday and Wednesdays and Fridays and okay wrestling on Mondays.
You know who?
Thursday. You forgot Thursdays.
Oh, true that. Shout out to Impact.
You know,
killing the game on Thursdays.
You know the only wrestling company that I give praise to, and I don't talk about as much, but I watch that consistently, and I can't not miss episode, is New Japan.
That's not surprising at all.
I cannot let them go. Like, If we was to try to look at their rating system for just their matches, I swear I bet you they will be up there with WWE with at least 1 point anything at this point. And that's just on the time when they have a show. And they don't have shows on a regular day basis. And that just tells you the consistency of wrestling from Japan to America. We thrive on seeing people we want to watch wrestle. New Japan just thrive on having their wrestlers go out there and film good matches.
All right.
And it's so weird.
So just to build off that point, we've got the guys from Ultra Heelz Wrestling. That's Ultra Heelz with a Z. We've got Darth Messiah and Alex the Heel joining us here on the Double Turn Podcast. Just to kind of piggyback off of that, another kind of quick answer from both of you. I'll start with Darth Messiah. What is something that AEW can positively learn from WWE, and what is one positive thing that WWE can learn from AEW?
AEW can learn technical production. There is still entirely too many bad camera cuts and too much bad audio on Dynamite. On the reverse side, WWE can learn to let the wrestlers wrestle.
Alex, go ahead and jump in with one positive thing that each company can take from the other one.
Same as that answers. If AEW had better support in their back with TV and doing camera angles, crowd and stuff, it would be the best show ever to watch. And WWE can learn from just letting their people just do what they do best. Like, stop trying to hold them back from what they're godly given and just let them wrestle. They can make you money just by doing that.
Okay. Another real quick question, just to be a little on the fun side. You guys have mentioned a lot of wrestlers that you've gotten to meet, gotten to see live. I don't know if you've gone to a lot of meet and greets or if you've met a lot of them before they hit the big time. I want to know, like, the coolest or the nicest wrestler you've ever met, and like the biggest dick or just asshole person that you never ever want to see in person and talk to. Because, by the way, from what I've been told, and most of the meet and greets I've gone to, most of the people I come across are really down-to-earth, nice people. Now, I'm not saying I'm in the majority when it comes to that, but most of the wrestlers I've met have been very cool, very accommodating, just very, very nice to the fans. Again, just speaking for myself. So I just want to know if there's anybody that like made a really positive imprint on you, or if there was anybody that made a really negative imprint on you that like you just never want to ever have a face-to-face with ever again. Go ahead, Alex. You start this. Or I'm sorry, Darth. Go ahead.
For me, the nicest person and the most, I guess, asshole person, it's the same person. It's Darius Carter, aka Urkel, because meeting him in person is like, MJF flipping the bird to a little kid. That's him. He lives his gimmick. He's that person all the time.
24/7.
But it's so refreshing to see because he keeps kayfabe. So for me, it's the same person.
For me, the nicest person I ever met that was cool, laid back, was Keith Lee. After watching him wrestle a couple times in any circuit and talking to him after matches, Keith Lee is like a giant kid, bro. He is like the coolest person. Like, if he literally told you to come hang with him and go do something, I don't think you would say no. You would just go do it because you know you're going to have a fun night before the night is over. The biggest asshole is literally Darius Carter. Darius Carter make MJF look like he's still working on his gimmick. And that's saying a lot because I met the man like 7 different times, and every time I met him, I go to talk to him, and he just like walks away from mid-conversation and not gives a rat's ass what you're saying. You try to shake his hand, he just looked at you, he don't want to touch. You touch his scarf, he'll curse you the hell out and really want to fight you. That man is in gimmick. I think he dreams in gimmick. I don't think he outlives that thing.
Interesting. I as I prefaced, I've not had a negative experience with any of the wrestlers I've ever met. The nicest, most accommodating, just coolest guy I've ever gotten a chance to meet, Big Show. That's not surprising in the slightest. Big Show was like the coolest wrestler I've ever met. Just had a very brief conversation because, you're in line, there's a bunch of people that want to meet them. He took the time, we talked for, minute and a half or whatever. He just came across to me as a guy that, you know, was in the business for a long time, had a lot of success, and, you know, could have been a very, you know, stuck up person, jaded by the business. No, he was just a guy that just loved what he did. And of course, you know, he's doing a lot of ambassador, or he was doing a lot of ambassador work for WWE. And of course, now he's in AEW. But I'll never forget that experience of just how cool he was to me. So I just mentioned that. We are actually getting very close to wrapping this show here with Ultra Heels Wrestling. Jorge, is there anything else in particular that you want to ask the guys before we sign off?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we've talked about so many of the negative aspects from both sides of the company. I want to ask you both, and Ross, you can hop in on this too. What are the three of you? Because we've just eclipsed WrestleMania season, right? It was, for the most part, from an economic standpoint, fantastic. It was awesome to see the fans back in the building for the first time in 390 days. It really was awesome. WWE, for the most part, put on a really strong entertainment show. I think the main events from both nights were stellar, and there was a lot of good aspects coming out of WrestleMania. So I ask you now, especially now that AEW's got Blood and Guts coming around the corner, and then they officially announced Double or Nothing happening, of course, Memorial Day weekend, as we expected. What are the three of you looking forward to the most from WWE, NXT included, of course, and AEW for the remaining, let's say, the 7.5 months of the year? Alex, I'll start with you, my friend.
WWE, I'm just looking forward to hopefully the storylines that they have their main guys to keep going, because that's the only thing that's keeping me watching them consistently, like right now, especially with the whole Roman, Edge, Daniel Bryan thing, even though I just don't give a fuck about Daniel Bryan right now. That with Raw, the whole Bobby Lashley, keep him going as champion, because we've been wanting this for going over like 16 years. So we kind of just need that to still keep going. With AEW, I just want to see them thrive and do more stuff. Just having fun. I just like watching them. They remind me of like ECW without all the hardcore. They just basically just going out there and just putting on a show and having a fun night and going home to their family. NXT, I'm just hoping that they go back to doing NXT takeovers once, so like every other month, because this NXT shit like back to back is like starting to get really a fucking annoying, trying to keep up and remembering what shows or what happened at this point now.
That's fair. Anything from AEW that you're like, sign me up?
Yeah. Like I said, Dark is the only thing keeping me entertained on AEW right now. I love watching Dynamite, but like I said, I like being introduced to new people, because it makes me want to understand where they came from, how long they've been in the business, and how long they worked to get to where they're at. And I like seeing people that I've never seen before. It makes me want to watch. It's like watching a trailer of a show that I don't know what's happening, but you have me hooked to want to know what's happening. So I kind of want Dark to evolve for the most part, but at the same time, I don't need them to be 3 hours. They don't need to be raw. I don't need a 3-hour YouTube video. That kills my battery on my phone. Watch that.
All right, fair enough. Messiah, how about you, my friend? What are you looking forward to from WWE/NXT? It doesn't have to be both, of course, if you don't have anything to look forward to on the main roster. And then what are you looking forward to most from AEW?
Okay, I'm going to piggyback off of what Alex said in terms of Raw. I'm really excited to see what they do with Bobby Lashley as champion going forward, because I fully came to terms with the fact that they had built Bobby up just to lose to Drew, so Drew could have that moment again in front of fans. So I was not expecting Bobby Lashley to still be champion. So I want to see, what do they do with him going forward, because I'm a big fan of what they were doing with the Hurt Business. Still mad they broke it up, but still, Bobby MVP, still the best thing on either show. I want to see what they do. In terms of AEW, I want to see where do they go with the likes of MJF, Darby Allin, the young guys that they brought in. I want to see them get more spotlight. Hangman Page. They've all had really quick chances on top, and then they just kind of go back to what they've been doing. But I want to see guys like that prosper. Like, yeah, you got King Omega, yeah, you've got Chris Jericho, yeah, you've got who else did I not mention? John Moxley. But I want to see the young guys prosper.
I'm just going to make mine very quick, and I know that we're probably all in consensus on this, which is I hope in the next 7, 8 months, I hope we see fans back in buildings, because quite frankly, and I understand that it's not something that can just happen. I understand that, but honestly, I hope for all of us as wrestling fans at some level, we can start seeing consistent fans back in the buildings where they go, because quite frankly,
it was a really good sign.
And by the way, not that this is breaking news, but having people there interacting with your performers not only helps them, but it just helps everything. So
basically,
let's just hope that gets to that. But Ultra Heels Wrestling, it was an absolute honor and pleasure to have you on the show. I'm going to let you guys prop yourselves up one more time before we wrap this week's episode and give a little tease to what we're doing here for next week's episode. So go ahead and prop yourself up again.
Once again, I am Darth Messiah, the Dark Side Savior, always and forever on his words behavior. You can find us on Instagram at Ultra Heels Wrestling. It's wrestling with a Z. Find us on YouTube for all our live streams every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where you find audio version of the podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. Use Anchor for all the other smaller audio platforms. Alex?
Me, Alex, the motherfucker Hill. You can find me on Instagram as Alex_OGST_the Hill. Like Dar said, you can follow us on Anchor. You can basically follow us on everything. Like I said, I'm like Stan Lee. I'm on everybody's podcast. I don't know why. I'm just like doing it. And if you want to argue with me, because trust me, I have the time and I have the patience, we can argue about wrestling. I know it's always going to be about Chris Benoit, so I don't never lose this argument. So it's going to be a fun time if you find me on Instagram.
Oh, one more thing. Respect the Bravery Studios and Gnarly Marv, our producer. If you're in the New Jersey area and you're looking to do a podcast, braverystudios.com. If you're looking for some sort of just audio only, he also does remote podcasts via Zoom, Skype, things like that. Very flexible. So if you're looking to do a podcast, please look into Bravery Studios.
Ultra Heels Wrestling, that is their handle on Instagram, and all the things that they just mentioned right then and there. Definitely worth your time to go check them out. They've got some great content. You've just listened to them here on the Double Turn podcast. And again, we very much appreciate both of you deciding to come on the show and just talking some wrestling with us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, it was fun.
Of course. Jorge, sir, that's going to conclude this week's episode here as our month-long collaboration continues. Who do we got coming on next week's show, sir?
Next week, we have our good friend CP Razor coming back on. Been too long since he's been on, so looking forward to having him on. We're going to be talking the Ruthless Aggression era and its greatness, the people who made it great, its great matches, and where it stands in history. Can't wait for that episode. It's going to be a banger. And after that, we've got Through the Table and Wrestling with Respect on a mega pod. Very similar to the one that we're just having right now. It's going to be a banger. And yeah, we've got some news towards the end of the TDT mashup month that we are looking forward to sharing with you. It'll be very cool. But let's focus on right now. And Alex, Messiah, absolute privilege. Thank you so much for wanting to come on with us, guys. We really appreciate it. We've been wanting to make this collab for a long, long time. You guys have always been kind to us. You guys have always been gracious and always rep our stuff. And I hope that we always return the favor. And let's make this happen again very, very soon, fellas. It'd be an honor.
Thank you very much. We would love to be back.
Word, I'm down for whenever.
Excellent. You can find this episode and every other episode on our new platform, which I'm actually going to let Jorge tell here in just a second. I'll also let him prop up our new Twitter page. But you can find us on our Instagram pages at the Double Turn Podcast. That is where you can find our hot content. Of course, the one and only J-Man19, Ross the Real Boss 85. Those are our Instagram handles. Don Jorge, tell everybody about the new Twitter page and the new place where everybody can find our show.
Yeah, so of course, go ahead and check us out on Twitter at TDT Wrestling Pod. We are the Double Turn Podcast over there. And of course, we're now affiliated with the Wabam Entertainment website. So again, shout out to Wabam. We appreciate you guys for taking us on. We will, that site is up and running, and it's very cool. A lot of great stuff. If you're into comic books, if you're into movies, if you're into reading just random stuff about whatever's going on in pop culture having to do with Marvel or DC or all that good stuff, go check that out because it's just freaking rad. And then of course we are basically their preeminent wrestling podcast in a way. So I'm very much looking forward to this collaboration as we continue to move forward, and just check out for a lot more stuff. And again, go check out Ultra Heelz. The homies are the homies, and we love the homies.
So it is Wabam. That is WOBAM is where you can check out the Double Turn Podcast. We are the preeminent wrestling show on Wabam. Again, WOBAM. That is going to wrap up this week's episode as we turn the page on our next installment of our collaboration month. For the J-Man, for Don Jorge, and of course for the fellas over at Ultra Heelz Wrestling, I've been Boss Ross, and this has been the Double Turn Podcast. We will catch you on the flip side.